What we got here? So packaging as always. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Lammy Jammy is in 5 days, so let's get to work. Okay, so I have brand new CDI and a brand new stator. But before I actually go and just start swapping parts and assuming that I have a bad either one of these parts, I'm gonna go ahead and finish connecting the cables as far as to the carb and whatnot. I'm gonna actually try to start the bike with what I have in the bike right now. I just want to make sure those parts are actually bad before I start swapping parts. But I had ordered this stuff just in case, because Lammy Jammy is in what, 5 days. So yeah, I won't have any time to order replacement parts if I have to. So this is just going to be here as a backup. But let's continue actually working on the bike. All right, so the first thing I got to do is torque the rear hub nut down. And it's supposed to be 110 foot-pounds. So you can see I'm on the bike and I have my foot on the actual rear brake because I don't have the tool to hold the rear hub steady. So all right, let's try to get this thing torqued down. Okay. All right, yeah, that's what you gotta do when you don't have the right tools. So I actually had to go a little further. I think 115 foot-pounds, because this hole did not line up with that hole right there for the bolt. So the range was 110 to 120, so I think I ended up at 115, and now I'm able to put this little lock bolt on, so we should be good to go. All right, done. Next up, I'm trying to get all the cables actually installed into the bike. So the only lever I need to install is the clutch lever, which is this guy right here. Okay, I got a new bolt for the lever with a new locking washer, and also you need to install this little guy right here. It's actually the anti-vibration. I don't know what this is. It's just a plastic thing to keep it steady in there when it's idling, I guess. So make sure you put that in. It's going to be like this. No, like this. Okay, and it's underneath right here. So you kind of have to push it together before you actually push it into the housing like this. Just make sure you don't let it go and lose that ball. I already sent the other one flying to the next millennium, so thankfully I didn't need it, because I got a new master cylinder and it came with a new lever installed. Bolt through, star washer, and then the little nut underneath it. We'll just tighten this guy up. Pretty easy. Yeah, there you go. Make sure it's not too tight, because sometimes it's hard to pull the lever because it's actually contracting the aluminum around the lever. Actually, this might be too tight, to be honest with you. Yeah, there you go. Much better. It's not going to come out because the star washer is there to lock it in place. So there you go. That's it. Now let's actually connect the cables to the motor. And then, as I mentioned, I need to change the inner cable for the carb setup. I'll show you how that works. So next up, let's actually hook up the cables to the engine case. So let's start with the clutch cable. Now, before you actually put the trunnions on the ends of the cables, which are these guys right here, you're going to slip this little rubber boot over. So these rubber boots, there's 3 of the same. They're to protect the cable. So slip that guy over. It goes all the way up here, and this little thing actually protects the threads on the cable adjuster. And then this little sleeve for the clutch. Okay. After that, now you have 3 sizes trunnions. Okay, you have small, medium, large. The medium one is for the clutch, and inside there's a brass bushing. Okay, that's going to sit in there. Now you want the brass bushing to be above the cable, not underneath it, because when you actually tighten the grub screw, you're pushing that brass bushing under the cable, and then the other side is brass as well. So that's what actually holds the cable in place. So now that I have it kind of loosely put in there, I'm going to put it over the little clutch arm, and I'm going to move the clutch arm forward as much as I can and then tighten that little grub screw in there. It's kind of difficult to do, but you get the idea. Let's see here. Grub screw is actually a 3.5 millimeter, and then the actual brass trunnion is 9 millimeter. So get as tight as you can, and then once you actually tighten the grub screw onto the cable, you can actually adjust it with the cable adjuster. All right, so it's really loose on there. Let me tighten it up. All right, I'm gonna tighten it up. 9 millimeter wrench for the outer brass part, and then the, again, 3.5 millimeter grub screw in the middle. So I'll just tighten this guy up. See how the clutch lever feels. It was too loose. I'm going to use the cable adjuster to take up the slack. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I know it's hard. It's dark in there, but try my best to show you guys. So that's actually really loose. It's pretty loose. Might be okay. So now you can actually just adjust this cable adjuster up here. It'll tighten up that lever. So around there, maybe okay. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Okay, I'll leave it like that. I still have more room to come out if I have to. And then if it's really bad, I can actually take that grub screw off and move the arm forward more. All right, so that's the clutch version. Now the second one is going to be the inner gear cable, which is this guy right here. This also has a little rubber boot that goes over first. This one's going to be a little tough because this guy goes through this guy. Okay, so I'm going to take this guy apart. So this one actually goes through this little cable guide arm, and then this actual arm that actually controls the transmission, and there's a little bushing underneath that, or a shim underneath that. So you got to line 3 pieces up before you can do anything. So let me line those things up first. Okay, that's 2. There you go. So once that's done, the cable actually goes between this top bracket and the actual arm that controls the transmission. And then let's see if I can get it through. If I This little rubber boot could be a little smaller, but they're compensating for when you actually shift the gears over, and it'll extend. So that's good. Let me put the brass bushing. This is what the brass bushing looks like. Put the brass bushing in there first, and then the grub screw on top. Again, you're smashing brass against the cable, not the steel grub screw. All right. So I have my little cable tensioner thingy, my actually 4th hand tool. Pull this a little bit, and hopefully they can tighten it a little more. Then again, if I have to adjust it a little more, it'll be through. Well, actually, make sure the shifter is lined up at 0 first. I think it is, and then you should tighten the grub screw. Okay, that's that one. I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. Here's one more, the outer gear cable. This one's the shortest one, shortest trunnion. It'll go through, you gotta hold it in place. Last gear cable. Go in between this slot right here and through the trunnion, like this. Just like that. Oh, actually, I forgot the rubber boot for this one. There's a rubber boot that goes over here too. Like that. Rubber boot or cable sleeve, whatever it's called. Okay, there you go. Again, brass bushing first, and then the grub screw. Make sure that brass bushing is flat in there, not catty. There you go. Yeah, it is good. Tighten this guy a little bit with hand tool. Okay, lower the lift and actually double check to make sure the shifter is actury lined up. See, this is way off. I mean, it feels pretty good, but it's way off. So I got to loosen those cables and adjust it a little bit. All right, we've got the trunnions loosened up, and move this guy back a little bit. You can probably tape this or something so it doesn't move. You know what? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab a little piece of tape and tape it on there. So line up the 0 with the little red arrow. And put a little piece of tape here just so it holds it where it's supposed to be. That way it'll make it a little easier to adjust. All right, so let's go to the back. Okay, let's go up front and check it again. So it actually feels really solid, really good. Okay, I'm just doing the final tightening of these trunnions back here. So I got the gear cables adjusted pretty good. Actually feels pretty good. And also the clutch feels pretty good. So yeah, I'll leave it the way it is. I'll take it for a test ride. If it needs more adjusting, that's what I'll do. In the last video, I mentioned that I will be removing this inner for the throttle because I need to install a new one with an adjustable pinch bolt lug in the front here. So yeah, let's do that real quick. So first I'm just going to cut this off, the head off, and then pull the cable through. Like this. You can always use it for something else so you don't have to throw it away or anything. Since the cable no longer has the fixed inner, I'm going to go ahead and spray some cable lube down the outer, like that. Put this guy back. Okay, now let's move forward to installing the inner. So first thing you do is disassemble the top of the carb. You have to expose the plunger because the cable connects to that. Remember, this is spring loaded, so make sure you don't undo it and shoot that carb top somewhere else. All right, so that's good. Pull the plunger out. Now the inner of the cable goes on the plunger first before you run it through the outer. So this is the end that's fixed, has a little soldered nub there. Install this guy in there first. It's supposed to look something like that. Put the little retaining plate back on top. Something like that. So you're gonna do the spring. Make sure it's running all the way through the spring. And then it'll run through the carb top, like this. That, okay? Make sure the spring is where it's supposed to go. There's also an O-ring underneath the carb top. Make sure that all that is lined up. And then we'll push this thing together. That's right. Okay. So obviously when you pull this guy, the actual plunger comes up and the needle comes up. Okay. Now run the inner through the outer like this, and the loose end will pop up the front. Okay, so I've drilled a little tiny hole through there, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. All right, so you put this little pinch bolt through. Now I'm going to run the cable through that pinch bolt, and without that hole, it doesn't have a place to actually go. The only other way I can do it is actually put the cable exactly where the pinch bolt needs to be and just cut the rest of the cable off, but I'd rather not do that. I like to have a little extra slack just so this thing won't just pop off if I'm riding and something gets loose. So this is what I have to do right here. Okay, like that. I don't think that's going to actually harm anything, but like I said, I don't want to cut it so close to that pinch bolt where, you know, there's no margin for error. Like if something got loose and I'm pulling the throttle and it pops off. So I'm going to leave it like this, put the actual screw to tighten the pinch bolt down, and then I'll leave about this much slack or something. I'll just leave it like that. You know, just a little safety slack, I guess. So, all right, let me tighten that up and we should be good to go. Alrighty. Alright, nice and smooth operation. I like it. And now I'll just cut off most of the slack, and then I'll solder the tip of it, make sure it doesn't come unraveled. Alright, solder the end right there, and I'm just going to tuck it right here in this little pin. There you go, I got some extra slack to play with. Alright, perfect. Alright, I've got the carb completely hooked up, the choke cable installed, I got the throttle cable kind of where I want it. And yeah, we can go ahead and tighten this guy on. All right, perfect. All right, before I hook up fuel and all that to this thing, I'm gonna put some oil in the transmission. I'm using Maxima's MTL. I'm not sure if I have enough to actually fill the case up, but I have a good amount, so we'll see. Hopefully it's enough. If not, I'll just put what I have into it just to start it, just so there's some lubrication in the gearbox, and I'll fill it up later. Yep, not enough. I guess I'll have to buy some more. Okay. So to fill the gearbox up, you obviously plug the drain bolt and you open the fill bolt. I just do it by the vent. Take the vent off, put enough oil in it until it starts coming out of this hole here, and then you know it's full. All right, so I know it's not full right now, so I'll leave the sticker on that says no oil, and I'll get another bottle of MTL, and we'll fill it up before I actually go out for a ride. All right, so got fuel hooked up to this thing. Got the spark plug in, plugged in. So we'll try to start it. Yeah, I don't have that lever, duh. All right, let's see what we got. Alright guys, now I can actually finally sleep well. Yeah, it runs, thankfully. I thought there was a spark issue, but I think my actual timing light was messed up because I tried it on another bike and it was kind of wonky. So I think spark's okay. Timing's set up. I got it to idle. So yeah, we're in good shape. So tomorrow is Sunday. I actually have the entire day to work on the wiring, and then we can get it all back together, and hopefully I get it done by tomorrow night, and I can test it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it's lamey jammy. All right, that's gonna be it, guys. If you've enjoyed these videos, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch you all next time.